Hello, everyone. We're going to take a look and see what Grubby thinks of the new game Stormgate from Frost Giant Studios. Now, you've seen this on the channel and you're going to see more of it, but I'm very interested to see what Grubby has to say because he's got a lot of experience with Warcraft 3 and StarCraft 2 competitively. He has a lot of thoughts and opinions as to how the gameplay works and all these kind of mechanics that make those games great. So, how does he perceive Stormgate being? That's what I'm really curious. So we're going to see his reaction. And this should be on 1.0 speed, because that'll be fine. So if you're interested in follow Grubby, make sure to check out his channel. He does, well, he's still getting flagged for Age of Empires 4. He has Age of Empires 4 on another channel, but this channel he does Warcraft 3 content. So you can find all sorts of stuff like that, be it 1v1 games, 2v2, and sometimes like his commentaries on higher level gameplays. Sometimes watches those. I think he normally just sort of watches those during the stream. I don't know if they always make it to his YouTube channel. But yeah, he's got the same issue as me where he's getting flagged for a different game. I keep getting flagged for World of Warcraft for some reason. But anyway, let's go.
Hey Grubby followers, some news tonight about Frost Giant. Several years ago, the members of Team 1 that worked at Blizzard left Blizzard because they had no new hope for another RTS coming out from Blizzard, the company. Since then, we have seen some mobile game reveals like Diablo Immortal and Warcraft Arclight Rumble, but no major new PC titles coming. And so they decided to set out on their own to develop another RTS that is meant to be the spiritual successor of StarCraft 2 and games like Warcraft 3. Frost Giant has just released their cinematic trailer and we can watch it together now.
Okay, so get to see how he responds. He's not going to be like going, "Oh my god, what is this?" So I don't think that's going to happen, but you might be able to see some subtle hints.
Discovery, this is Command. Storm's in your way. Prepare for extraction.
Signal's breaking up. Command, I'll do one last scan. See you soon. Over. Okay, hurry.
That's the Warcraft.
Now we're talking.
At least that's the only reference I can think of for Warcraft, and even then it's not strictly Warcraft.
Command, I may be onto something.
Looks pretty good. This looks really nice.
She's lucky that didn't just go through her face. Thinking about it.
I have it, Command. Repeat, I have it. Mission accomplished.
Plus 15 armor, 10% extra damage for everyone nearby.
Oh, a Balrog. Fly your fools! Nice shield. Air support?
Hang tight, Doc. I've got this.
The way the unit's move is a bit weird in this trailer.
Yeah, smack him. Target destroyed.
Glad you could make it.
We gotta move. Now.
Glad you
Storm
could make
coming.
it. Okay, so she got
Hell's coming with it.
Hell's coming with it. She got the cool magical shield. It was quite strong. Stormgate. I like the name. What do you guys think?
It's not bad, it's fine. I don't think there's anything too worrisome about Stormgate. Short enough as well.
So that was Stormgate. Stormgate was made by ex-Blizzard leaders and they raised a bunch of money. This is one of the news. I think they raised more since then, actually. So that's pretty cool. Frost Giant coming up with their new game reveal. Now, I had some
I think they got like 34 million, maybe, plus at this point. I might be wrong.
private looks at some of the material that they are planning for the game, and I thought it would be cool to go over something that where they answered some questions from Reddit. This is from the latest Frost Giant newsletter. And I have someone else reading it out so that I can react to it.
Next design discussion, approaches to game launch.
So the reason I think this is interesting to talk specifically about game launch is this going to be like a sell once, own forever game? Is it going to be like Diablo Immortal where it's free to play, but you could spend your life savings on it, or differently? So let's check
By
it out.
Cameron McGinn, Community Manager, and Gerald Valoria, Communications Director. The way in which games are developed and released has changed a lot over the years. Several distinct approaches to launching and supporting a game with post-release content have emerged over time.
Yeah.
We'd like to discuss some of the more common models and get your perspective on them as a player. The old-school box model. Launching a game with a single primary content release is about as close to the old standard of physical boxes lining store shelves as it gets.
Yeah, that's how they used to
Remember
do it.
those? Some of us miss those boxes and the goodies inside, like art books, mouse pads, and cloth maps. Having a physical connection to the game feels great, and it's easier to display a box on your bookshelf than a digital game key. The main advantage of this approach, whether it's physical or digital, is that a lot of content is released right away. From a player perspective, this usually feels great, like binge-watching an entire season of a television show.
Yeah,
I mean, I liked the boxes, but you don't need them so much these days. It was great as a kid because it would take so long to install these games as you could read the manual and see all the pictures and the characters and the units and what they did whilst you're waiting for the game to install.
makes sense.
The drawback is the time and costs of developing the entirety of a game up front, not accounting for any post-launch content plans. You also typically have longer gaps between future updates, with those usually coming in the form of expansion packs, DLC, and season passes.
Yeah, I like this system.
The game as a service approach.
Technically it's the best system for us. Ideally, is that they make sure to do the work and get the proper game completed so that we can enjoy it all in one go. I honestly don't really like the whole early access stuff, particularly as a content creator and stuff like that, because you feel like you're sort of forced to keep following the game through all of its sort of progression, and I don't know, it's much more sluggish and drawn out, and every little thing has to be somewhat hyped in some sort of way, but it's really just like the progression towards getting the game finished. So, but it's probably going to be the way it's going to go. They're at pre-alpha at the moment. They're probably going to go they go beta next year, mid-year next year, unless there's a delay. And that's probably going to be like alpha, I would imagine, to alpha/beta. I know you got beta and then alpha, but you know what I mean. Like some games, they are basically still alpha or whatever. And then, you'll probably be a year or so after that before the game properly releases, I would think.
The game as a service model, which you've seen in games like League of Legends, is a common choice for modern game development. This typically means an initially smaller scope of content at launch, with more content released at regular intervals afterwards.
This is nice too.
The advantage of this approach is that additional content releases can be continually improved and adapted to player feedback. Regular updates also keep things fresh, giving old players a reason to keep coming back and new players a reason to get started.
Yeah, that's really
and
good.
The creators more than it actually benefits.
I have to switch to a worse voice. The other voices aren't as good. If I like this and I'll use it more, maybe I'll look into that. We'll get some worse voice now. Let's go on.
What?
With service-style releases, the smaller launch scope can enable a tighter focus for the development team, increasing the quality of the team's work. These factors have the added benefit of making a free-to-play model possible.
Yeah.
Early access.
Yeah, and I think that's a nice system too. Personally, I quite like this. I've played games that are similar to this, where it's free to play, but then they sell you content as it's released, and you're never really suckered into buying anything you didn't intend. You like the content, therefore you buy it, and it's pretty good for both fans and content creators because there's like new story beats coming out, new like content drops. I like it.
Early access. In either scenario, giving players early access to a game is an option
Oh,
many
thank you,
developers
Chicken
choose to
Tenders.
pursue for different reasons.
Yeah, what do you
Tenders.
guys think of early access? Let me know in the YouTube comments
Trash.
below. I've played some games where I was very interested in them, and the response
Is what's that game? Todd plays it. This Battlegrounds. It's one of the earliest Battlegrounds ones. Like, you know, think a very early Fortnite. That one was like early access, like 5 years ago or something, and the developer took all the money, and then like went off to make another game instead of like just finishing it. Not Apex, PUBG. That's the one. PUBG Battleground. It's trash, really. Like the early access model. It's very anti-consumer, basically. But I understand it from the developer's point of view that it does help mold the game.
of the game was generally quite good. I liked it. I played early access, and then as the development continued, and this could take anywhere from like a year to 2 years, the game just kind of dropped off my radar, and I already feel like I kind of played and finished it, even though obviously I didn't. I just played a couple of hours. One example, for instance, is Baldur's Gate 3. Baldur's Gate 3 was fairly well received because it looked good and had an interesting story and good voice acting and very good graphics, certainly better than most of the graphics of games that I play. And I really enjoyed it, but because it was early access, you could only play a small part of the story, which, by the way, I didn't entirely finish. I played it for like 2 days. And apparently now it's still not fully released, and I feel like this is years ago that I played the early access, and I'm
This is
not
what
really
happens.
looking at it anymore. And I still don't know in my heart of hearts whether I'm going to be going back to Baldur's Gate 3 and playing it. So what do you guys think of early access?
It's never
Nice.
good. It's-
You get to watch streamers play it and then get some kind of decision making whether you think
for people with
this is a game that
ADHD.
you might want to buy and play, or do you feel like it kind of ruins the opening a present at Christmas and now you already know what it is 2 years in advance?
Yes.
What do you think? Or maybe
That's a
another
good-
opinion.
Good point.
In
Is
either
that-
scenario, giving players early access to a game is an option many developers choose to pursue for different reasons.
Yeah.
Some players love the idea of early access and being able to help shape a game's future by providing meaningful feedback to its developers. Others strongly dislike playing an unfinished game. By allowing access to a game early, developers are able to test and polish features still in development, incorporating feedback
Yeah.
and data gathered from the players.
It's like we're there, QA.
This exposure to real players early on makes features stronger before a wider release.
That's true. We help them test the game and it makes it better, right?
Early access also helps increase a game's visibility and provides a glimpse of its overall direction to those who participate. On the other hand, some early access games feel partially finished.
That's part of the problem, isn't it? But I mean, it's kind of hand in hand. If you say that it makes features stronger before a wider release, then doesn't it go hand in hand that the game is also partially finished?
On the other hand, some early access games feel partially finished, despite being sold at full price,
Yeah.
which never feels good and damages the game's reputation.
I feel like to a degree Age of Empires 4 is kind of like this, isn't it? I don't know if you guys here on this channel are still following my Age of Empires content on my third YouTube channel, Grubby AOE. You can see the link if you scroll in my YouTube main page. But we're just getting a Season 2 patch soon this month, and it's 8 months into the game's life. And I feel like we're almost getting to a point where I would call it release ready.
Damn. I remember playing Age of Empires 4 quite a long time ago. And he's saying like this is again the point. It's the same thing. He's right. It's just it kind of like the hype and everything like just dies down. Like you can try to artificially inflate it from time to time with tournaments and stuff, but you can't deny the fact that people will be put off playing the game that would have maybe committed to the game for a longer period of time if the game came out fully finished.
And that will probably still take another 4 months or so. So I'd say like a year on after AoE 4's release, it's release ready. But sadly, it also already missed out on a bunch of the hype. So whatever game is coming out, if I'm going to be very interested in it and I want to be playing it long term, I would want the best for that game, right? Because that's also the best for all of us and for me, that this game is respecting our time into it and that this game is ready when we are first playing it and that it's fun and it's only going to get better and it doesn't squander some of the release hype that the game built up from the release, but then lost it because people lost interest due to a variety of different reasons. You know, sometimes people ask what went wrong with Reforged, what went wrong with Heroes of the Storm, why aren't they bigger than they are, because, you know, really fun games. And it's never really one reason, isn't it? It's always a big combination of different factors where it's a lot of little things, a different reason for many different people, but altogether it's a drop in the player base, and that has a tendency to lead to self-cannibalization, where it just gets worse and worse. Dead game meme ensues. However, I still think it's impressive that both Reforged Warcraft 3, let's call it Warcraft 3, Reforged did something for us, but let's call it Warcraft 3, that both Warcraft 3 and Heroes of the Storm are still going strong, that I can still get very quick queue matching and get a lot of good games and a lot of game enjoyment out of both of these games. But it could have been worse. And games that aren't as veteran, that haven't been out for as long, that didn't have the old Blizzard reputation, they may not have the same luxury of surviving past squandering the hype. So if Stormgate is going to be a game worth playing long term, and I'm definitely looking at it, then I hope that they don't squander initial game release hype.
On the other hand, some early access games feel partial. Distinguishing between early access and a game's actual launch has also become difficult, with some games remaining in a perpetual state of early access or beta for years.
Heroes of the Storm, for instance, was in beta for years before it was considered released.
Is it still beta?
Distinguishing between... So what is Frost Giant thinking?
Yeah.
I feel bad for Heroes of the Storm. I actually did genuinely enjoy playing that game. I just wish they put way more effort into making you feel more valuable as a player in it, and make heroes feel more powerful, or at least give them more control over situations. It just felt like every time you use abilities, you're just kind of doing 10% more damage than an auto attack or something. Do you know what I mean? Like, it just felt like you're just lightly punching a pillow or something. I don't know.
Approach to launch and future content updates must support our goals, first and foremost being to create the next great real-time strategy game. We also think part of making a great game means making sure the development team can enjoy a healthy work-life balance. The choices we make now must sustain ongoing development in a way that allows our game, team, and community to thrive for years to come.
Let's hope so.
Back when some of us were working on StarCraft 2, we transitioned the game from a box model to a free-to-play game-as-a-service model. This had a strong net positive
Co-op
impact on the health of the game and our player base. Not only did new players join the game as a result, but many of them stuck around. We are considering a similar approach with our upcoming game, which would include a defined early access period to help us polish features and set expectations before our version 1.0 is completed. We'd then aim to release a consistent drumbeat of new story and gameplay updates to keep players excited and the game fresh. We think this could be the best approach for our game, team, and community, but we're eager to get your feedback.
Okay,
they've still got a long way to go with
that's really interesting, and
Stormgate.
let's see how that plays out. Now, Stormgate just released their trailer, and there'll be more news on Sunday as well. I will try to set up an interview with some developer, with a developer from Frost Giant. Hopefully, I can get them on my stream and do a video for YouTube. And I've got a lot of questions there. I know you guys are going to be having a lot of questions, and make sure to write them in the comment, that I can make sure to ask them to them. There's a couple of things.
Make sure you make Grubby ask all the hardest possible uncomfortable questions. No easy low balls. Just go straight for the nuts. It's just like make him ask the most difficult questions possible.
I do know already. They're really trying to make this into a proper one-on-one competitive RTS. The question is always, will they succeed, right?
I think it's more
but they are
the
developers that worked on SC2, and we'll check out the game together, and we'll see whether we like it and whether it is replayable and competitive to that degree. But their goal, there was a question in a Q&A where they were asked, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being SC2, and being a scale of how hard it is to play, or let's say, no, how high the skill ceiling is.
No
that was the
gameplay,
question.
yeah.
With the skill ceiling of StarCraft 2 being a 10, and I think most people agree on this, that SC2 having a very high skill ceiling because of the mechanics.
I just noticed, how comes there's a shadow underneath this character but not under this character? They look like they're the same model, although there are some differences I can see. So perhaps this model hasn't got shadows enabled. You can't see shadows behind this one either.
Requirements, the high game speed. They said a 10. Now that is exactly.
It's concept art. Where does it say it's concept art? Is it not in the engine?
What pro players or ex-pro players like me want to hear, but they are also very cognizant to the fact that not everyone wants to play the game in that much of an intense and try-hard manner.
This is not in the engine. It says in development or in development assets, not final, but that doesn't mean it's not in the engine. That's got to be something, right? That engine, what they're showing there, those doodads, the trees, the skull, the rocks, is that just all painted? You're saying that's not an engine whatsoever? There's no game, etc.?
And therefore, they are coming out with two major game modes. There's the one-on-one, where there will be a different balance or design, let's say, than the other major game mode that they will be releasing which is 3v3. There'll be a 3v3 multiplayer mode that will feel a lot more like, I guess, Warcraft 3 4-on-4, or let's say a MOBA. It's still an RTS, and you're still playing the same game.
All right, Kiratel's getting on my case. I'm a game developer, and I'm telling you, you can fake a lot of shite. This is a picture, makes it even easier. Oh, yeah. But I guess as a normal consumer of video games that isn't in development, you would perceive this logically as a picture from the game, no?
Game, but it is more for the casual player. Though, who knows? Maybe the pros will also be preferring 3-on-3, and there'll be loads of 3-on-3 tournaments for that instead. That remains to be seen. And then here's something that people that remember the Heroes of the Storm brawl Escape from Braxis may like and remember. That was a very popular brawl game mode for a short period of time in HOTS. They're also coming out with a 3VE, so 3 versus environment, where there will be heroes and leveling up and abilities and units, and the three of you strategically play RTS together against AI as you advance in stories and advance through different levels. So I think that's really cool. There's a lot of potential here. There's a lot of talent here. Let's continue to cover what's going to be happening, and make sure to let me know any questions for the devs and what you think about some of the topics discussed in this video. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give a sub to my channel, sign up for notifications, and always like and comment and subscribe. Thank you so much, and see you next.
There you go. All right. So I think it's going to be more 3v3, actually. But 1 versus 1 is easier to set up than 3v3, so we'll see where it goes in terms of that esports. The leveling up of heroes, yeah, we want to know about that, really. That will be something to pay attention to, like how heroes are going to act in this game. So, yeah. All right, well, that's cool. If you guys want to check out Grubby, you can do so over his channel and get more information on the game itself. I'll be covering the game too. If you've got any hard questions for Grubby, make sure to go over to his Discord server as well. You can find that over his channel. And make sure to give him very difficult questions to ask. All right, see you later.